Hello, everyone. It's good to see all of you here today. Thanks for joining our State of the Org. I'm delighted to be moderating our panel of esteemed guests, and I'm going to welcome them one by one to the virtual floor here. So, LD, if you can just introduce yourself briefly with your name, your role with Let's Get Ready, tenure, I would appreciate that.
Sure. Thanks, Marvin. I'm LD. I'm based in New York, and I serve as the vice chair for the board of Let's Get Ready.
Thanks, LD. Next up, we have Elizabeth Wilson, and we will get her. Great.
I'm Elizabeth Wilson. I'm Director of School College Partnerships at Hostos Community College, which is part of CUNY, working with College Now and other high school partnerships.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Last but certainly not least, we have Luvonda Fuller.
Hi, my name is Luvonda Fuller. I was a student here with Let's Get Ready last year, but now I am a graduate student at Villanova, and I'm getting my master's in clinical mental health counseling.
Thanks, Luvonda. So I have an assortment of questions for each of our panelists here, and I invite folks to add questions to the chat as we're going through in case you'd like to ask them any additional questions. So LD, we're going to start with you. You have a really interesting vantage point because you are a board member, you see behind the curtain of LGR. And you've been such a great champion of our program with partners, funders, and other stakeholders. So given your perspective, why do you believe LGR's model is poised to be a national leader for advancing outcomes in college access and graduation?
Thanks, Marvin. I'm glad you're asking this question because I'm a true believer in the potential of LGR. Look, we have something really special, as I'm sure you saw from Lena's presentation, and I think she was being modest in what she outlined. We will serve about 25,000 students very soon, but what Lena didn't mention was that we were serving half, actually less than half of that number just a couple of years ago. So it's been tremendous growth. And that is really exciting because there is a tremendous gap in this country in terms of, educational attainment, access to these types of services. So to have a organization like LGR be able to grow as fast as we are, I think is really exciting. What makes me really confident in our future is really the reasons that underpin this growth, right? So, Lena alluded to, I think, all of the key ones here, but I just want to underscore a couple of them. We were virtual before it was cool, right? Before the world went virtual, so it's really a core component of the model. I would say that the model is really based on two things. The near peer coach, which provides, essentially having the coach in the center is really key to making this work. And we use technology not to supplement or to replace or get in the way of the coaching relationship, but to enhance it. And so that has created both the efficacy of the model in the numbers that you saw in terms of graduation rates, but it's also allowed us to be more efficient than any of our peers. We've looked at many organizations in the sector. We are way more efficient, which means that our donors can make their dollars impact more students through Let's Get Ready than any other organization. And that's also very exciting as you think about the future. So when Lena says we have, essentially the slide referred to pricing of $200, but there's no pricing. Let's Get Ready, right? Like the students don't pay anything for our services, but our cost is less than $200 per student, which is phenomenal. So as you can tell, I'm really excited about about our program. But for those reasons, I believe that we are poised to be very much the leader in this space. And I just think we have a better mousetrap.
Thanks for that vote of confidence. And what I was reflecting on as you shared your responses, the technology piece definitely adds a layer of efficiency that we didn't have years ago. I was a former coach with Let's Get Ready when I was in college, and I wish that I had the ability to text my students. So appreciate you getting us started, LD. I'm going to transition to Elizabeth. You are one of LGR's longest institutional partners, which is incredible. 12 years, I think it is. And you've seen LGR through many different phases of growth. So I'd love for you to just share, why do you and Hostos Community College continue to trust LGR as a signature partner to support your college access and graduation efforts?
Yeah, thank you. So I feel like there's kind of two pillars, and these are reflected in two different conference presentations actually that Jordan and I did a couple of years ago. And one sort of surrounds youth development, and one surrounds just like LGR as an organization, as a partner. So to start with students, as I guess we should, on the youth development side, the conference, we had a panel of all these alum who were alum of both LGR and College Now. And LGR had taken, would take suggestions from me, would hire College Now alum, so that we, and early college alum, so that we had this sort of seamless communication and development. And we had this sort of amazing moment on this panel where we had these alum presenting, and they realized we had one young woman who had been coach of a student who became a site director, and then the student became a site director, and then his student was a coach. It was like 3 generations, and then one of them was like, oh wait, I'm your LGR and College Now grandmother. Like, it's this kind of amazing, beautiful way to see that growth, and to see the way that working together, Hostos and LGR could really, it's youth development, it's career development, it's academic development. I mean, it's all of those things. So that's of course, one side. And then, just as a partner, and I think, from my side, this is why it's lasted so long. LGR is just an amazing partner, very responsive, a very individual attention. Shout out to Jordan, incredible partner, ship manager. So, as I said before, LGR will take suggestions for hiring, so that, keeps us all in the family. And then when we had concerns way back, I mean, this is 10 years ago, around requirements for coaches being really high. It was a 500 in the SATs. And, I was like, at Hostos, we're not going to find that, but I have amazing candidates. And LGR took that really seriously and actually changed their requirements. And I think ditto around paying. I was like, you can't ask for volunteers from my students like this, and that's not fair, and LGR took that seriously and also changed that model. And speaking of money, we ourselves haven't always had money to pay LGR, and LGR has stepped up, has never interrupted service. And no one get ideas. It's not that it's always free. We also have to pay, and we usually do. But we've had years where there was budget cuts after the 2008 recession. I was like, sorry, we have no money. And I wasn't even trying to ask for money. I was just like, sorry, we can't do it this year. And LGR was like, no, we're not interrupting service. We're going to keep doing it. And that was an amazing moment. And that stuck with me. So then when I, ever find extra money, I'll send it that way. So that's really a very important. And then the other responsive partnership is around the model. I mean, over the 12 years we've run the gamut. It was access at first. It was just SAT prep in the summer, and at this point is now the success model. But in between, we've done a few different things. We had following kids into Hostos, and we had a staff member, a coach just based for Hostos, and then that was too small of a cohort. So then we do everyone, who all graduating seniors from College Now. And so we've tried different things, and some are more successful and some are less, and we keep piloting, and that's really amazing. And then the last thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up, is just that as you've seen from this presentation, I mean, if you didn't know already, LGR's data is amazing. And so as a budget director, and I'm not a budget director, I'm a director, but as a director of a budget, I can know with confidence that this money is going to something incredibly successful. And that's huge, right? That's for anyone here who manages a budget, right? You all know that it's not just about feeling good. That's one thing, but to see that data is really impressive. And to see that data, it's going through my head right now. What you were just presenting, Lena, I was like, I have a bunch of people I need to show this to at Hostos, like that's really fantastic. So, and now I'll be quiet. Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth, for that response. And I really appreciated the way you talked about LGR's continued commitment, but also the way in which we listen to students and partners. I think that's an attribute of this organization and of our staff at every level of how we want to work with our partners, whether they're funders or programmatic partners. We want to listen deeply for what the needs are. Thanks so much, Elizabeth. So we'll turn it over to Luvonda. You have been part of the LGR community for 8 years, I want to say, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. So you've seen the high school experience, you've seen the college experience, and if I'm recalling, you're doing counseling in your graduate school program as well. So can you share more about what your LGR experience has been over these past 8 years and what keeps you inspired about what we do?
So thank you so much, everyone that went before me and everything. Thank you again. To answer this question, I started, so just to give you a picture, I started as a high school student. So that was college prep, doing those college prep, like getting SATs ready, prepped and everything like that. I didn't get an individual coach until I was, I think, a junior or and I mean individual one-on-one when I was a junior or a senior of high school, so they can actually transition me into college. And then that coach name was Sarah Chance, and her job was just making sure that I did all my testing, making sure that I was getting all my college essays in, making sure that I was not only physically ready, but also mentally ready to go to college. And then once I got to college, I got another coach, which was Coach Diamond. And this was like the first last year of real college, everyone says, before COVID. Diamond was there to make sure that I had all my financial aid in track, making sure that I looked up any work studies to make sure I actually used all my financial aid, because a lot of students don't know that just that however much money of work study you get, if you don't use it, you lose it. So she made sure that I was getting everything in my packet. Not only that, she was making sure that I had great study tactics. She made sure that I stayed on top of all my classes. And then after my first year that was 2019 going into 2020, when I got back to my second year, I had second year, I had another coach. So you might see that, the coaches changes. No, they only change because these coaches have now graduated on, or the student have changed. So I might have changed my whole mindset of what major I wanted to be in or what I wanted to do. And that the coach, not only they try to fit you with a coach that had the same major as you, try to fit you with the same coach. If you want someone to be in person, if I wanted to ever meet up with Diamond was at Temple. So I was able to meet her. I was able to see her. And then my third year, I got Coach Emily and Coach Miranda. So those were my longest coaches, and that was my last year and my junior year. And also they were just making sure that I was also just everything that I've learned in the last couple of years of college, making sure that I also like really absorb that and get ready to move on to grad school, or asking me about my next steps and not pushing me like, oh, you got to go to grad school, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's like, Luvonda, what is your next steps? We've been in college for 2 years. Your grades are good. You don't really need help with studying. You don't really need help with this. How can I help you move to the next step? What do you want to do? And we found my internship. We found another internship. So like I was the only student in my school that had 2 paid internships. I was doing all my work study jobs at school. So I was a basketball manager for all 4 years. I worked in financial aid. I was the president of SGA. I worked with the provost for my last year. Like I was just all over the place, but I was never a mess. I carried a lot of hats, but I had coaches that held me accountable. My last year of college, I got a concussion. So literally I'm coming up on a year mark of my concussion from last year. And my last coach, Marina, she never stopped emailing me. She never stopped texting me. She never like, hey, I haven't heard from you. What are we doing? Grad school is coming up. Do we have to do some essays? I know we already prepped the list. I had a list ready from Diamond all the way to Miranda of what grad schools I wanted to apply to, because I told them, every coach that I know, I'm not paying for school, so we have to find the money. And I never had to pay for school because they made sure that I had the mindset, you can find the money. So to close this out, how would I describe every year with a word, just a description word? So high school going into college was inspirational. My first year of college, my full first year, is unmatched. My second year was innovative. My third year was refreshing. And my fourth year was rewarding. Thank you so much. Let's get ready.
Thank you, Luvonda, for sharing your experience with us. I am just so inspired by all that you've been able to accomplish throughout your journey. And I feel very lucky to have met you in person too. So appreciate you being on this virtual call with us today.